Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melki Raja Reddy and I am from English for All. Do you want to speak good English? And have you admired somebody speaking flawless English? If that is your goal, then this video is for you. In today's lesson, let us learn about auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are also called as helping verbs. As the name says helping, they are not the main verbs, but they do help in framing proper sentences. We have number of auxiliary verbs. First of all, the auxiliary verbs are used to find out what tense a particular sentence is in, and also to find out the mood of a particular sentence the speaker says, and also the voice, whether a particular sentence is said in active voice or passive voice. These auxiliary verbs really play a very important role in framing sentences. And you see sometimes the list of auxiliary verbs like am, is, are, was, were, and so on. All these auxiliary verbs are really very important, and you must learn the list of auxiliary verbs. Once you get thorough with these auxiliary verbs, then really you can make number of sentences and you can become very confident to speak correct English. Now let us learn the list of auxiliary verbs which are really very important for making proper sentences. Here we have the list of auxiliary verbs. First one, be auxiliary verbs. These be auxiliary verbs are these ones. So sometimes we use straight away be or been, being, am, is, are, was and were. These are the be auxiliary verbs. And when you look at these auxiliary verbs of be form, and we have verb 1, always we use am, is, are. Then verb 2, we use was and were. These words are always used in V1, and V2 we use always was and were. And V3 form we use been. Verb 3 always we use been. And V4 is being. Do not get confused, it's very clear. These are the be forms. So be forms are nothing but am, is, are, was and were. So we use them as per the context, as per the situation. We use one of these be forms. Now let us see the second one. We have auxiliary verbs. As you can see the name, the heading, have auxiliary verbs. So we have, has, had, having. So these are the have auxiliary verbs. So V1 we use always, verb 1 always we use have or has. And verb 2 always we use had. And verb 3 also we use always had. And verb 4, it is always having, no hasing. And remember that we should not use the word has for ing form. Always we have to say having. So these are the auxiliary verbs of be and have. Now let us see the other set of auxiliary verbs. The third one, we have do auxiliary verbs. As you can see very clearly, we have do, does, did and doing. So when they write in verbs, V1 always we use as do and does. And V2 we use did. And V3 we always use done. V4 we have is doing. So remember, always we use the word doing, not does plus ing. The next one we have is modal auxiliary verbs. So always remember, these modal auxiliary verbs are always used in present and past tense. So we have can, we use in present. In past tense it becomes could. May, in present it becomes might. Shall, should, will, would, must, ought to. Always remember, this particular word is always used with the help of to. Ought to, and followed by we have need and used to. So these are the modal auxiliary verbs that we use while framing sentences. Now we shall see the fifth one, have combination auxiliary verbs. We can see, as the name suggests, we have can have, could have, may have, might have, shall have, should have, will have, would have, must have, and this particular word always used ought to have. We should not say ought have, we have to use ought to have. Then apart from this particular combination of auxiliary verbs, we do have this one now, be or being combination auxiliary verbs. Shall be, will be, has been, have been, had been, could have been, may have been, might have been, will have been, would have been, shall have been, should have been. These are the different combination of auxiliary verbs we use while framing sentences. Next, we have other combination of auxiliary verbs. The seventh one, two combination auxiliary verbs. We also use sometimes two combination auxiliary verbs. Sometimes we do use have to, has to, had to, need to, needs to, dare to, and dares to. These are the different combination of auxiliary verbs we use apart from the main auxiliary verbs. If you learn the list of these auxiliary verbs, I'm sure you can make number of sentences with the help of these auxiliary verbs what you have learned. If you like this video, kindly subscribe and share. Thank you. See you in the next video.